We can hear you here, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Before we get started, court's going to just call one case matter out of order for CR 2024-010460, State versus Thomas Owen Gagnon. At this point, the court, in review of the court file, in light of the defendant's incarceration, the court is going to order releasing the defendant as to the pending charges in Pima County. Court further orders that this order does not affect any other incarceration or sentencing related to his ongoing incarceration at the Department of Corrections. All right, so we'll go ahead and get that, just indicate that for the record. So that one. Well, I guess, do we need to still affirm the court date that we have? Sounds good. All right, so good morning. Can you go ahead and state your first and last name?
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Austin Spurlock, AUSTYN SPURLOCK.
Okay, so Mr. Spurlock, you're here for what's called an initial appearance. The charges before the court at this time is aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, aggravated assault regarding or resulting in serious injury. You have 3 total felony charges related to the offense. You do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have a right to counsel. There is counsel here to assist you on today's date. Do we have someone from the prosecutor's office?
Yes, good morning, Your Honor. Brad Terrace from the County Attorney's Office.
Okay, good morning, Mr. Terrace. So I show that the state's recommendation is that bond be set in the amount of $50,000. Any additional record?
Judge, that is the state's bond recommendation. We do understand the defendant's young age as well as what appears to be no criminal history. However, the state's recommendation is based on the nature of the offense and the potential harm to the victim that resulted from the defendant's actions.
Okay, thank you. And then defense, any record?
Sure, Your Honor. So first off, he has an NCA of 2 and a failure to appear of 1. He does currently live his whole life with his grandfather. Additionally, he has part-time work. He's employed as a cook. So we would ask that due to those conditions and because of his young age, that he be released to preach with a $1,000 bond.
Okay. Given the nature of the offense, the court is going to order bond be set in the amount of $5,000 cash or secured with release to pretrial services. If bond is posted, release conditions will include no alcohol or illegal drugs, no acts of domestic violence, and monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial services. Counsel will be appointed to the Pima County Public Defender's Office. Additionally, the court is ordering that the defendant not have any contact with the individual, Luis Saenz, and additionally not to go to the victim's residence or workplace. Court will further indicate, Mr. Spurlock, that your next court date is going to be what's called a preliminary hearing, October 21st, 2024, 1:30 p.m. at the Pima County Justice Court. And at this time, the court will excuse you at this time, Mr. Spurlock. Thank you.
Thank you.
Second to give this to you. Let's get have the information for your statement. All right. Best of luck to you. Sure thing. Okay.
And did the jail have any updates regarding anyone who's refusing to appear or anything of that sort?
Yes, Your Honor. Derek Mary has COVID, so she will not be attending, and Mayor Charles refused.
Okay, so do we have Mr. Valencia Ruiz with us right now?
Yes.
Okay, sir, hold on just one moment. We're just gonna process a couple of cases over here and then we'll get started with your initials. So just one moment. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and continue Ms. Derek to the afternoon, or no, PM. Sure. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. All right,
Sir, procedures, right? Thank you.
10. 10 o'clock, okay. Is it okay if I give this back to you and have you white out some of the things I filled in because we're continuing it? Okay. All right. Yes, please. Yeah, I wrote some stuff on the second page too, if we can just make that. Yeah, thanks. Okay, sorry, sir. Can you go ahead and state formally for the record, your first and last name?
Francisco Valencia Ruiz.
Okay, so Mr. Valencia Ruiz, we're seeing you today on a amended petition to revoke probation and order. I'm going to read the document to you. I think you've received it at this point, but I'm going to go ahead and read that, and then we'll proceed from there. So on March 22nd, 2024, the above named defendant was adjudged guilty in CM 2023-026-888 of domestic violence and interfering with judicial proceedings, court order, class 1 misdemeanor, and was placed on supervised probation for 24 months to date from March 22nd, 2024. The attached written conditions were imposed and a copy given to the defendant. The petition further states the court is hereby petitioned pursuant to ARS 13-901C and Arizona Rules of Criminal Procedure 27.6 to revoke the defendant's probation because there is reason to believe the defendant violated the conditions of probation in that. We have about 10 entries here. First, on or around August 9, 2024, defendant committed the offense of domestic violence, aggravated assault, entering residence. On or about March 29, 2024, the defendant failed to report as directed. On or about April 3rd, 2024, the defendant failed to actively participate in counseling as determined by the Adult Probation Department. 4, on or about May 20th, 2024, the defendant possessed and consumed amphetamines. Number 5, on or about February 13, 28, 29, March 25, April 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 8, 9, 25, May 15, 16, 17, 20, June 3rd, July 15, 16, 23, and 24 of 2024. The defendant failed to submit the drug and alcohol testing as directed. And now we're getting into the amended allegations. On or about September 30th, the defendant failed to comply with written regulations. Number 7, on or about August 23rd, the defendant possessed and consumed fentanyl. Number 8, on or about September 7, the defendant had unapproved victim contact. Number 9, on or about September 9, 30, and October 3rd, the defendant failed to abide by curfew. And number 10, on or about October 3rd, the defendant failed to appear for a review hearing. So in general, Mr. Valencia Ruiz, you do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have a right to assistance of counsel today. I'm sorry, you don't have that right necessarily, but you do have counsel there if you have any questions, if they're willing to assist you. In general, what the court's going to do is the court's going to enter denial as to these allegations. However, the court, based upon the record before the court and the court file, the court is going to be granting the petition on today's date, and we're going to set you for future proceedings. The court will further order that the defendant will be held in custody on a bond of $2,499 cash bond. Next hearing date, sir, is November 14, 2024, 9:00 a.m., and that's with Judge Millian. That'll be your next court date. If you post bond before then, you'll be you'll have to make sure you appear at that hearing on November 14, 9 a.m. at the City Court. If you did not appear, a warrant could be issued then for your arrest, and you'd be essentially rearrested. Do you have any questions at this time?
No, sir. Can you repeat the bond again? Sorry.
$2,499 cash bond.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir. You're excused.
Thanks.
Thanks. Okay, good morning, sir. Can you state your true name? Okay. Sir, you are here today on a review hearing, which was set in the event that you were not taken to Maricopa County. The court is notifying you on today's date that you do have your next review hearing in the event that you remain incarcerated. That's November 11, 2024, 9 a.m. here at the Justice Court. If you are indeed transported to the Maricopa County Superior Court and all the matters here, which may be active, are resolved, then that hearing will not happen. Any questions at this time?
Yeah, I've seen if they got any pleas for me yet.
And so that's not information that I currently have before me. If you have an attorney assigned in those matters, that person can clarify that for you.
And if I was asking if you can move it back a couple months, because I'm still dealing with this court for a while. I'm trying to see what's going on and happen with Pima County.
And so we can't,
If I can move it up to 2 months.
we can't change we need to make sure we're doing these every 30 days. If you have not resolved those issues that are in Pima County, then, but we have, as a matter of course, we need to make sure that we have these 30-day reviews to make sure nothing's lost in the shuffle. We do that for everybody.
Oh, okay.
All right. So at this time, then you've got your next court date, and we'll see you there if you're still here and you are excused, sir, at this time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Your Honor. This is the interpreter, the Spanish court interpreter, and it's the understanding of the interpreter we don't have Spanish speakers this morning.
I think you are correct. You can be excused.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. Have a good day.
You too. Thanks. Okay. Good morning, sir. Can you state your true name?
My name is Aaron Jonathan Diaz Martinez.
Mr. Diaz Martinez, you're here today on what's called a review hearing, and you're being held right now to resolve any local matters and/or awaiting transport to the Cochise County Jail or Detention Center. The court is informing you on today's date that you have a follow-up review hearing in this court, if necessary, November 11, 2024, 9 a.m. at the Justice Court. You'll appear, if you're still incarcerated, you'll appear by video review. And that's to review your case and make sure that we're getting eyes on you, essentially. If in the event that any local matters resolve and/or you're transferred to Cochise County, then this hearing may be vacated on November 11. Do you have any questions?
Oh, Your Honor.
Okay, so then you can be excused. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Urgency.
Good morning. Can you state your true name?
Alexis Almada.
Okay, so Mr. Ahumada, it looks like we picked you up today on a warrant that was issued previously. It looks like by the Pinal County Superior Court, I believe. I think we have a victim potentially for this matter who's on the line. Is there a victim for this matter? And then I believe we may have somebody on Teams for this. If you are able to, you can press *6 to unmute or use your application to unmute, please. Okay. Well, I'm not sure. Is there somebody there? Okay. All right. Just want to make sure we got a request for victim input. But Mr. Ahumada, at this time, the court is going to be releasing you on your own promise to appear. And you do have you have a court date set in Coolidge at the Eloy Central Penal Justice Court. That's October 29, 2024, 9:00 a.m. So make sure that you appear at that hearing. It's a case management conference, October 29, 9:00 a.m. Failure to appear at that hearing in Coolidge could result in another warrant being issued. Then you're rearrested, and then we're doing the process all over again. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, but you are being released today. Do make sure you appear at future court dates, and you are excused at this time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Have a nice day.
Good.
Ashley. Go ahead, I don't know if you will see the next order.
Good morning, sir. Can you state your true name, please?
Yes, sir. Christopher John Ashley. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Mr. Ashley, we're here today. Looks like a warrant was issued for a failure to appear from some misdemeanor matters rising in 2023. So you do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. So if the court was to be releasing you on this, Mr. Ashley, do you promise to the court that you'll appear at a future court date?
Yes, sir. I do promise it.
And do you understand that if you fail to appear at the next court date, then a warrant could issue again, and then we're essentially right back in the same spot we are this morning?
Yes, sir. I do understand.
And additionally, that the next judge who sees it could end up deciding that bond needs to be set based upon a history of failure to appear, then you could be held until you post a cash and secured bond. Does that make sense as well?
Yes, sir. That is understood.
Okay, just one moment. What's that? Okay. So as to the, and it looks like we have a city court matter as well, where there was a thing of failure to appear. So the court's sensing a little bit of a pattern, Mr. Ashley, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt today that you're going to be appearing at these future hearings. But again, a failure to appear at either the justice court or the city court cases could result in a warrant being issued for your arrest, and even in both courts. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Makes
So
sense. I understand.
let me go ahead and do a couple things on my end. I'll let you know what your next court dates are. Just one moment.
Understood.
All right. So as to the justice court matter, you are going to be, the court's going to be releasing you on this. You have a criminal arraignment set November 8th, 2024, 8:30 a.m. at the Foster. And you are being released as to that matter. And then additionally, in the city court, as I indicated, you did have a failure to appear for a prior assault charge. On that one, the court is also going to be releasing you on your promise to appear. And you have a, as your next court date, a pretrial hearing November 7, 2024 at 9:00 a.m. at the city court. And so November 7 and November 8 are important days. Make sure that you appear in court. Any questions about those court dates or anything else at this time, sir?
Yes. The paperwork with all this information will be given to me upon leaving here, or what?
Yes, you'll be provided with paperwork regarding these court dates, and you'll have that when you leave the jail.
Okay, understood.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ashley. You can be excused.
All right, thank you, sir. Have a good day.
Spoiler. Ashley.
Was that in the file? Okay. Jail, after this next one we have, can we bring back Mr. Akumata?
Yes.
Okay, so that'll be after this one. Okay, so sir, can you go ahead and state your full name, please?
George Otis.
Okay, so Mr. Otis, let's see, so we've got you at All right, so Mr. Otis, we have a couple of matters we're seeing you for today. The first one we have appears to be a warrant that was issued for failure to appear for an assault charge back in 2021. And for all the matters we're talking about today, you do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. If the court was to release you as to this warrant and require that you appear at a future court date, are you pledging to the court that you can make it to court?
Yep.
And do you understand that if you did not go to court, that you would have a warrant that could issue for your arrest, and then we're back in the same spot we were previously?
Yep.
And finally, that the judge at that hearing could then decide that bond needs to be set and you'll be held until you post a cash or secured bond?
Yep.
Okay. Any questions about those potential consequences?
No.
So at this time, as to the warrant, for the CR 2021 case, the court will order releasing the defendant on promise to appear. And then the court date as to that particular one is going to be November 18, 2024, 9:30 a.m. at the Justice Court. That's to resolve that pending assault charge from 2021. So do make sure that you appear November 18, 2024, 9:30 a.m. at the Justice Court. And then beyond that one, we also have an additional matter we need to resolve today. It looks like it is another warrant for a failure to appear in an assault matter. So the court's sensing a little bit of a pattern. Mr. Otis, do make sure that you appear. The court is going to release you on this one as well. But again, make sure that you appear at these court dates, because then otherwise longer term incarceration may be on the table, okay?
Yep.
Your court date for the other warrant that was issued is the same court date, November 18, 2024, 9:30 a.m. at the Justice Court. So do make sure that you appear. Failure to appear could result in a warrant being issued and bond being set potentially. So any questions, sir, at this time?
No.
Okay, so you are excused. Thank you. Okay, hi again, Mr. Ahumada. Looks like we missed one of your cases, so we're just going to take a handle that one really quick. We have there's a prior failure to appear for a couple of matters that occurred that were alleged back in 2024. Warrant was issued on or around July 2nd, 2024. And so this is as to an interfering with judicial proceedings and disorderly conduct. Again, you do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. In the event that the court was to release you as to this, do you pledge to appear at the next court proceeding?
Yes.
Okay. So the court is going to do at this time, the court will order releasing you on your promise to appear. And just to verify, we do not have a victim present for this matter. Is that accurate? Looks like they may not be present. Okay. So the court is going to be ordering that you be released. We'll provide you a court date in just a moment. The court is going to be indicating as a condition of release, though, that prior conditions of release are affirmed. So if there's any contact prohibition, that remains in full force and effect. Next court date in this matter will be November 12th, 2024 at 1:30 p.m. That will be an out of custody arraignment with Judge Million. All right, and so you've got your court date in Coolidge, and you also have your court date here at the city court in Tucson. So do make sure you appear at both of those hearings, okay, sir?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good rest of the day.
You too. Appreciate it.
Otis.
Okay, good morning, sir. Can you state your full name, please?
Jeffrey Collier.
Okay, Mr. Collier, you're here today on, looks like a few matters of disorderly conduct and assault. But let me take a look. We also, looks like there was a warrant that was issued for a failure to appear for some matters in justice court. So we'll take the matters one at a time. Okay, so as to any warrant that's existing, the court will order quashing the warrant issued on or around May 23rd, 2023. As to the instant charges. Oh. You know what? Forget what I was saying about the warrant. Sorry, sir. There was we had mixed up on the order. So I was talking about another case. So, sir, you do have 2 counts of disorderly conduct, and as well as 2 counts of assault. These are misdemeanor offenses. You do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. In review of the probable cause statement and pretrial services input. We just double check to see the scales. We have a 2 and a 3 respectively on the NCA and FDA. We don't have victim input at this time. What the court's gonna be doing at this time is the court is gonna be releasing you on your promise to appear in this matter. There are gonna be some conditions of release. Not to consume any alcohol or illegal drugs, no acts of domestic violence, no firearms or weapons. Any firearms or weapons in your possession shall be surrendered to law enforcement. And additionally, no contact with the individuals Linda Northway or Lawrence Northway until further order of the court, and not to go to their residence or workplace. So we have your next court date in this matter. It's going to be an arraignment November 8th, 2024 at 10:30 a.m. So November 8th, 2024 at 10:30 a.m. That's at the Justice Court. That's your next court date. If you did not appear, a warrant could issue for your arrest. Do you have any questions, sir? Okay, you're excused. Thank you very much. Sorry about that. Did you get everything you needed on that one? Okay. Okay, good morning, sir. Can you state your full name?
Andres Ruiz.
Okay, so Mr. Ruiz, we have you here on a couple of matters. We'll take them one at a time. In general, you do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. The first matter we have looks like it's a warrant that was issued on or around February 8, 2024 for failure to appear as to some offenses to shoplifting, resisting arrest, possession of drug paraphernalia. Additionally, there's another warrant that was issued on also February 8, 2024 for a shoplifting charge. So in general, I'm sensing a pattern here, Mr. Ruiz, that there is failure to appear. The court does show, can the jail confirm, is there a hold on Mr. Ruiz?
Parole hold, Your Honor.
Parole, okay. Okay, so Mr. Ruiz, at this time, the court is going to be not subjecting, well, actually, what the court's going to do is the court's going to set bond in this matter in the amount of $50 cash. And that's going to be while the DOC hold is being pending. There's a hold right now for a potential violation for parole, and so you couldn't be released even if the court was inclined to do that. What the court is going to do though is appoint you counsel. The court will appoint Caitlin Waters on today's date as counsel, and again, $50 cash bond is instituted, given that you're being held on another case. Let me select the attorney. Just one moment as I get this in the system here. Okay, and so you're going to have your next court date, Mr. Ruiz. It's going to be October 10, 2024, 1:00 p.m. That'll be as a case management conference at the Justice Court with Judge Cornejo, and you'll be made available by video at least, if not in person, for that hearing. Do you have any questions, sir, at this time?
No.
Okay, so then you are excused. Thank you, sir.
Vale, hola.
Just one moment, sir. Just got to sign something here on another file. Okay, so good morning, sir. Can you state your name, please?
Roland Michael Valenzuela.
Okay, so Mr. Valenzuela, it looks like we've got you here today on few charges of disorderly conduct, and it appears also threats and intimidation. These are misdemeanor offenses. You do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. Just one moment as I take a look at something in your file. Pretrial Services is indicating that among the alleged victims in this matter is your father, your mother, and your brother. At least one of the male victims is indicating that they did object to your release. Sir, do you have a separate residence from these family members?
Yeah, I can go somewhere else. If I really, really had to, yeah.
Okay, at this time, what the court will do is the court is going to be releasing you on your promise to appear. There are going to be several release conditions. You're not to have any alcohol or illegal drugs, no acts of domestic violence, no possession of firearms or weapons, and any firearms or weapons in your possession shall be surrendered. You're not to have contact with the following individuals: Roland Valenzuela, Gabriel Valenzuela, or Patricia Valenzuela. The court will order that you not go to their residence or workplace. So in the event that you do end up working or living with them at this time, you'll have to find a separate place to reside. There are resources that are available at the jail. There's a trailer that's there on the site, which may be able to refer you to some housing resources. The court will authorize you to return one time to the residence with the police escort to pick up any belongings. Given though that you are released though, Mr. Valenzuela, the court is going to be setting your next hearing November 8th, 2024, 10:30 a.m. And that's going to be with an arraignment with Judge Foster at the Justice Court. Any questions, Mr. Valenzuela, at this time?
No.
Okay, so you are excused. There we go. Okay.
Your Honor.
Okay, good morning, sir. Can you state your name, please?
Axel Jorge Almeida Salgado.
Okay. I show that the name we have you listed under is Axel Almeida. Is that accurate?
Yeah. I have two last names. I didn't know which one's the first. Sorry about that, Your Honor.
That's fine. Okay. And so then, Mr. Almeida, we have just one moment. We've got some extra paperwork in here. Okay.
You're fine. It's fine.
So we have you here on a couple of misdemeanor charges: disorderly conduct, as well as assault. These are misdemeanor offenses. You do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have a right to. I'm sorry. Let me take a look at the probable cause statement really quick. I believe that we have a victim present for this one. Is there someone here for this case?
Yes.
Okay, so if there's a victim representative on the phone, go ahead and identify yourself, and if there's anything you want to tell the court, please do.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth. I'm just mostly here just to listen and to also defend the witness and hoping you guys take it easy on him or try to get him the help that he needs. That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Let me. Is it only city? Okay, that's why I was confused. Okay. So Mr. Almeida, in review of the pretrial services input as well as the victim's input and the probable cause statement, at this time, the court is going to be ordering releasing you on today's date, but there are some conditions you need to follow. Specifically, the main one I'm focused on is that you're to obtain a behavioral health assessment within 45 days of your release. And additionally, the court is going to order that you not possess or consume any alcohol or illegal beverages. Your next court date in this matter is going to be October 29th, 2024 at 9:00 a.m. at the city court. And that is a pretrial hearing with Judge Sergio. And so that'll be the next time that you're due in court. If you did not appear in court on October 29th, 9:00 a.m., a warrant could issue for your arrest. Do you have any questions, sir?
No, thank you so much.
Okay.
Oh, actually, I do actually, sir.
Yeah.
So my previous cases with my mom and my ex, because it was domestic violence. Am I able to go to my household? Because they kicked me out. I don't know if they have like restraining orders on me, but the cop that arrested me says I need a Tucson police officer to escort me to get my belongings, and then I'll never show up again. Then yeah.
If that's been previously ordered, then that is still permitted. I do see that there is an admonition not to go to the residences in the other cases.
Yeah,
And I'll clarify for the record that the cases are consolidated on today's date as well. The prior cases you also have with Judge Sergio. And then you have the same common court date for all those dates, October 29, 9:00 a.m. So,
okay.
Yeah, so I'm seeing an order from Judge Sergio, I believe, or somebody else, that you are permitted to go back to the residence one time with law enforcement.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, sir. You're excused.
Thank you. I'll go. There's.
Okay, good morning, sir. Can you state your full name?
My name is Harris Basiri.
Okay, sir, you are here today on misdemeanor charges. You do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. The principal charge against you on today's date is disorderly conduct under 13-2904. In review of the pretrial services input as well as the probable cause statement and information available to the court is going to be ordering releasing you on today's date. However, there will be some conditions of release. You're not to commit any acts of domestic violence, no contact of any kind with Jennifer Moret, and you're not to go to her workplace or residence. Next court date will be set November 12, 2024, 1:30 p.m. at the city court with Judge Million. That'll be your next court date. Failure to appear could result in a warrant being issued for your arrest. Do you have any questions, sir?
No, not at all. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, you're welcome. And please make sure to go to court. You're excused at this time.
You got it. Thanks.
Okay, good morning, ma'am. Can you state your name, please?
Ani Shashir.
Ms. Shashir, you're here today on you're picked up for failure to pay restitution by a prior court order. Based upon the record before the court at this time, and in general, you do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. Based upon the information to the court is going to be ordering that you be released from custody on today's date, but the court is going to be setting a date that you need to appear for. It's October 18, 2024. I'm sorry, November 12th. So November 12th, 2024 at 2:00 p.m. So November 12th, 2024 at 2:00 p.m. And it appears to be at the Tucson City Court. So that'll be your next court date. Make sure that you appear and that you further abide by any existing orders for restitution. Failure to abide could result in a warrant being issued again for your arrest. And then the next judge who sees you may not decide to release you on that date. Does that make sense?
Of course.
Okay. So with that, you are excused. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, good morning, ma'am. Can you state your full name, please?
Yeah, Tyra Elizabeth Susan Jackson.
Okay, Ms. Jackson, you're here today on a charge of, well, I believe it's a charge of assault, and I believe that there may be a prior charge as well that we have before the court. Let me just review something really quick. Yeah, there's an ongoing case in city court for an earlier matter, and then there's an offense. Okay. So in general, you do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. It looks like, yes, we have a prior case that's pending for a disorderly conduct issue, and then we have the pending assault charge as well that's before the court. So at this time, what the court's going to be doing is the court's going to be ordering that you be released on today's date, but there's going to be some conditions of release that you have to abide by, and you also need to make sure to go to future court proceedings. So your next court date is November 12, 2024, 1:30 p.m., and that's with Judge Million at the city court. The release conditions include that you're not to commit any acts of domestic violence, not to possess any firearms or weapons, and you're not to have any contact of any kind with the individual Jonathan Popolko. I'm not sure how to say his name, but Jonathan, who I'm sure you're familiar with, not to have any contact with him, and also not to go to his residence or workplace. At this time, do you have any questions, ma'am?
No,
Okay.
I don't.
Okay, thank you very much. Then you are excused.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning. Can you state your full name?
Gloria Parnell.
Okay, thank you. Just one moment as I review something. And here's a form for that. Can the jail indicate whether we have any pending holds on Ms. Parnell?
Yeah, he has a superior court hold.
Okay, thank you. All right, that's what I thought. Okay. All right, so Ms. Parnell, we have you here today, so failure to appear on some drug paraphernalia cases at city court. There is a superior court hold that appears on you right now, which means that any case that there's, for some reason, there's a hold that where even if the court was to release you on today's date, that you would be unable to be released because the superior court is requiring you to stay in custody. So at this time, the court's going to set bond in this matter as to the failures to appear, and this is also to ensure your appearance in the amount of $25 cash bond. Court will order consolidating existing case numbers at the city court as listed in the order. And then the court is going to be appointing counsel for you, the city public defender's office, so they can further assist you with the pending city court cases. And so then your next court date, Ms. Parnell, is going to be a video review on October 18, 2024 at 1:45 p.m. at the city court, and that'll be with Judge Mayhew. Do you have any questions at this time?
No.
Okay, so then you can be excused. Thank you, ma'am. Okay, good morning, sir. Can you state your name, please?
Vargas.
Okay, so Mr. Vargas, you're here today on a failure to appear for a prior trespassing matter. You do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. In review of the court file and information before the court is going to be ordering releasing you on today's date. Court is going to order affirming any prior release conditions arising from the trespassing matter. And the court will clarify that your next court date in this matter is November 7, 2024 at 9:30 a.m. and that's at the Tucson City Court. So Mr. Vargas, make sure that you appear. Failure to appear could result in a warrant being issued for your arrest. And then we're starting this process all over again. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay, with that, then you can be excused. Thank you, sir. Oh, actually, can the jail indicate, I think seems like we may have a probation hold out of county for Mr. Vargas.
Yeah.
We do. Okay, can we bring back then Mr. Vargas before he comes back? Or before he leaves? I think I need to take this back. Okay, so Mr. Vargas, sorry, we got to bring you back. I missed that we have a hold on you right now. It's a out of county probation hold. So some other matter that's in existence right now out of county, there's a hold there. So where they're requiring that you remain in custody at the jail. So in light of that, what the court's going to do instead of releasing you on this charge, the court is going to be holding you on a nominal bond of $25 cash. And then also appointing the city public defender's office to represent you to make sure that you have representation while you're held in the city court. And so at this point, then, so you will not be in fact released on today's date because of the hold that exists. So just want to clarify that. Any questions for the court at this time?
Yeah, so if I pay the $25, I can get out.
Even if you pay that, you're still going to be held on that hold, but I'm putting the bond in place, in notwithstanding that, to make sure that,
So is the other county gonna come get me, or
I'm sorry?
is the other county gonna come get me or something?
That remains to be seen. I'm not sure what the exact status of that. I don't have paperwork on that at this time. However, by appointing the city public defender's office today, they may be able to assist you with ensuring that you have some more information on that. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So at this time, Mr. Vargas, you're excused. Thank you, sir.
Maybe this is rush.
Here's 11. I think I forgot to do this to you earlier.
Stand up.
Hit first, hit first. Out to the.
Okay. Good morning. Can you state your full name, please?
Here, Baltazar.
Mr. Baltazar, you're here today on a couple of charges before the court, burglary, as well as unlawful means of transportation and controlling offenses. You do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have a right to assistance of counsel, and you do have counsel there seated next to you provisionally to assist you. The court will recognize that the Pima County Attorney's Office is recommending bond be set in the amount of $5,000. Any additional record from the state?
No, Your Honor.
And then additionally, pretrial services has noted that NCA and FTA scales respectively are 4 and 3. And would the defense like to be heard regarding the recommendations?
Yes, Your Honor. Additionally, we also have a probable cause argument as well. First off, this offense is nonviolent. He had no pending charges at the time of his arrest. His last case was a DUI arrest where he was sentenced in 2013 and has completed it successfully. He's had no failures to appear in the last 2 years. He hasn't had law enforcement encounters since 2008. He currently resides at North Estrada Avenue. Pretrial Services was able to at least verify his address on his license. Additionally, Your Honor, I know the state is claiming a burglary 3, the use of a master key, but the interim complaint makes no mention that Mr. Baltazar had a master key or that he knowingly took control of another's vehicle, merely that he was present in a vehicle at the time. Because of this, Your Honor, we would recommend that he be released to pretrial services. If Your Honor is not inclined to do that, we ask for a $1,000 bond secured in the alternative.
Okay, thank you. And then would the state like to be heard on the request, find no probable causes to the burglary charge? Mr. Terrace, if you're still there, I think you might be muted.
I apologize, Your Honor. The state will rest on the interim complaint.
I'm just reviewing the probable cause statement again. Mr. Terrace, when the statute talked in 13-1506 A2, when it talks about use of a master key, let me see if there's a definition that I can use for this. Just unsure about what the term means for a master key necessarily. Okay, a key that operates all the key locks and cylinders and similar. Okay, all right. Okay.
And Judge,
all right.
if we're just looking as far as in the third degree, I believe, and I don't see, did they cite A2 for 13-1506?
Yes.
Okay. Then the state will withdraw the argument I was going to make.
Okay, so is the state objecting to the motion to dismiss for lack of probable cause?
Judge, we are. I understand what is cited in there. Burglary in the third degree refers to a non-residential structure of which a vehicle is, that is set of Arizona case law. It does cite in the interim complaint the wrong statute. It should just cite 13-1506 A1. But by entering that non-residential structure of vehicle and the intent to commit the theft, it is a charge that has probable cause, just not under the subsection that was cited by law enforcement in the interim complaint.
Okay, and then defense, any additional argument?
Sure, Your Honor, if the state is inclined to cite A1 instead of A2, I'd further argue that there is nothing in the interim complaint that indicates that Mr. Baltazar intended to commit any theft or felony within the car itself.
Okay, given everything that's been stated to the court right now, the court will affirm that there is probable cause that under ARS 13-1803 A1. The court will find no probable causes to 13-1506 A2. Given the discrepancy indicated about the statute that was to be cited. Additionally, that the interim complaint lacks a statement of probable cause sufficient to support intent to commit a theft or felony. So let me note that on the complaint, and that's without prejudice though. So if the state needs to refile, then they should be able to do that if they see fit. Okay, so as to the current charge that we have before the court right now, possession of a stolen vehicle, and given the arguments and the indication from pretrial services, the court at this time, a lot of criminal history, but it's dated, and it seems like we have a successful completion of a sentence from back in 2008. No offenses since then. And so under the circumstances, the court's going to be releasing the defendant to the supervision of pretrial services. We will have a condition of release that monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial services counsel will be appointed to Pima County Public Defender's Office. And so, Mr. Baltazar, the next hearing that you have is an out of custody preliminary hearing, October 29, 2024, 1:30 p.m. Now, because you're out of custody, that may be moved. So make sure you talk with your public defender to verify the date on October 29 at 1:30. And that is going to be at the Justice Court. Any questions at this time? Okay, so you are excused then. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Yep, go ahead and take this. It's going to have the contact information in your next court date. All right, best of luck to you.
Okay, good morning, sir. Can you state your name, please?
Carlos Cornelio.
Mr. Cornelio, we're seeing you today on a few matters or a few charges. You have possession of dangerous drugs, possession of drug paraphernalia, possession of narcotics, prohibited possessor, possession of a firearm during a felony narcotic offense, These are felony charges. You do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have a right to assistance of counsel, and there is provisional counsel seated next to you. Court notes the state is recommending bond be set in the amount of $15,000. And I see that we have a hold from the Department of Corrections. Is that correct, Jail?
Yes.
And additionally, there's a parole violation warrant that needs to be processed out of Superior Court and looks like Miranda Municipal Court.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So looks like we have a number of pending issues right now. So does the state want to elaborate as to its bond request?
Yes, Your Honor, just briefly, the state's bond request is based off the fact that he's on parole in 2 cases at the time of this offense, and he does have other criminal history outside of those 2 cases as well.
Okay, thank you. And then defense?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Cornelio has no prior violent felonies. His last failure to appear is older than 2 years. And his sister also indicated that she can provide transport and a mail address for him. Additionally, because he has that DOC hold, we would ask for a nominal bond at this time.
Okay. Yeah, principally because I do see that there is substantial criminal history, although I do agree that it's primarily we have a aggravated assault on a peace officer charge that's indicated, so that's certainly of a violent offense. But given that we have the pending holds right now, that remains to be seen. What the court will do at this time is bond will be set in the amount of $1,000 cash or secured. Release to pretrial services if bond is posted. Release condition includes no alcohol or illegal drugs, and the following monitoring and treatment as directed by pretrial services. Pima County Public Defender's Office will be appointed. And then, so Mr. Cornelio, your next hearing date then is in custody preliminary hearing, October 21st, 2024, 1:30 p.m. Even if you're to post the lower bond that the court has issued today, it doesn't mean that you'll necessarily be released. You do have at least one or more holds that exist. And so those will need to be resolved at minimum before you could be released anyway. So, okay. Any questions, Mr. Cornelio, before we conclude?
No.
Okay. So you can be excused. Thank you, sir.
No, I don't.
That's good. What?
No, so.
If you postponed and then the holds go. But other than that.
Closing when it's through.
Evans?
Okay. Good morning, sir.
For
State your name, please. All right. So, Mr. Evans, we've got you here today on a number of charges. Possession of narcotic drug for sale, 2 counts, possession of dangerous drug for sale, possession of drug paraphernalia. These are felony offenses. You do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. The state, you do have a right to counsel as well, and there is provisional counsel available to assist you. State is recommending that bond be set. Mr. Terrace, I show that the state's recommending bond in the amount of $100,000. Is that accurate?
That is good.
And what is the basis for that request?
Judge, the defendant is on parole out of a case in Maricopa County. The warrant for that issued back in October of 2023, meaning he's been on absconder status from parole for over a year. The interim complaint details that there were 24,000 fentanyl pills in his possession or inside of his trailer, 1.5 pounds of methamphetamine, over 20 grams of crack cocaine, as well as a gram of heroin. Judge, this is a significant amount of drugs that are in the defendant's possession. He does have a criminal history. He has shown that he is not willing to abide by conditions of release, as shown by a year on his absconder status. And he has 24,000 fentanyl pills and 1.5 pounds of methamphetamine, which present a severe danger to our community here. So based on that, the state is asking for $100,000.
And then from the defense?
Your Honor, these are just allegations against Mr. Evans. Additionally, he has no violent priors, from my understanding. His last failure to appear is older than 2 years as well. Additionally, it's my understanding that he does already have a DOC hold. So because of that, we're asking for another nominal bond in the amount of $1,100 because of these other additional holds.
Based upon statement in the probable cause statement as to the amount of narcotics in the defendant's possession and understanding that we have, if there's an opportunity to have bond reduced, there will be opportunity to have bond reduced. And we have several other matters already pending anyway. So even if the court was to order a nominal bond, it probably wouldn't make a difference as to release. So the court is going to adopt the state's recommendation. Bond will be set $100,000 cash or secured. And conditions of release, that'll be released to pretrial services if bond is posted. Conditions of release will be no alcohol or illegal drugs, monitoring and treatment as directed by pretrial services. The legal defender's office is appointed to represent the defendant. And then, Mr. Evans, you have an in-custody preliminary hearing, October 21st, 2024, 1:30 p.m. at the Justice Court, and that'll be your next court date. Any questions at this time? Okay. Thank you, sir. You're excused.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Fairchild.
Okay, good morning, sir. Can you state your full name?
Even with Fairchild cards.
Mr. Fairchild Carnes, you're here today on an allegation of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. This is a felony offense. You do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have a right to assistance of counsel. There's a counsel seated next to you for today's purposes. The state's recommendation is that bond be set in the amount of $75,000. And then, Mr. Terrace, any additional record?
Judge, the state is concerned given the nature of the offense involving a stabbing, as well as the fact that the defendant fled from officers and actually wound up in a residence that did not belong to him, which, as the case progresses, could result in additional charges. He does have 6 prior convictions and was on parole at the time of the offense, so the state is asking for a $75,000 bond.
Thank you. And then any record from the defense?
Sure, Your Honor. Mr. Fairchild did indicate to police officers at the time of the arrest that he was fighting in his own self-defense. So he does have a possible defense should this go to trial. Additionally, $75K is a substantial amount of money for somebody to pay in a bond for something like this. We would ask that the bond be significantly reduced to $5,000.
Court will note for the record, NCA and FTA scales are 3 and 3 respectively. We don't have any victim input. And then it appears that the defendant is currently unemployed. Based upon all these circumstances, court will set bond in the amount of $15,000 cash is secured with release to be posted. Release conditions will include no alcohol or illegal drug, no firearm or weapons, monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial services. The Pima County Public Defender's Office will be appointed. And then Mr. Fairchild Carnes, the next court date you have is an in-custody preliminary hearing, October 21st, 2024 at 1:30 p.m. at the Justice Court. And that'll be your next court date. Any questions, sir, at this time? Okay, you can be excused. Thank you very much.
Fernandez.
Good morning, ma'am. Can you state your full name? Okay, Ms. Hernandez, you're here today on a couple of matters. We'll take them one at a time. The first one is a series of charges for endangerment and criminal damage. 3 total counts. You do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have a right to an attorney, and there is provisional counsel there seated for you for today. Looks like the state's recommending that you be released to pretrial services. Is the defense okay with that?
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
So as to this particular matter, the court will order that you be released to the third-party supervision of pretrial services. There are going to be some release conditions: not to drive without a valid license, no alcohol or illegal drugs. Court will appoint the Pima County Public Defender's Office to represent you. And additionally, you do need to make sure that you follow the monitoring or treatment recommendations as directed by pretrial services. For these charges, your next court date is currently set October 29, 2024 at 1:30 p.m. at the Justice Court for a preliminary hearing. However, because you're out of custody on this, that hearing may be moved to a different date in the future. Check with your public defender to verify that court date beforehand to make sure that you don't miss the new date. Any questions on that one so far? Was okay, and it looks like additionally we've got a charge out of a misdemeanor charge out of the Justice Court. Just one moment. And that would be for actual physical control of a vehicle and some miscellaneous traffic violations. Since you are being released on the other matter, the court is going to be releasing you on this matter as well on your promise to appear, but make sure that you appear in court. You have a lot of serious charges facing you right now. And the court's going to allow you the opportunity to try to attend those out of custody. But if you fail to appear, the court, either the Justice Court or could be issuing warrants if you do not appear in court. Does that make sense? Go ahead. Can you have your answer out loud, please? Is this being recorded?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. So the court, as to the DUI charge, court is going to be setting an arraignment November 8th, 2024, 8:30 a.m. And that's at the Justice Court with Judge Foster. And so you have two court dates currently, October 29 and also November 8. So make sure that you appear at your future court dates. A warrant could issue if you fail to appear. As to the DUI matter, the court is going to be indicating similar release conditions: do not drive without a valid license and no alcohol or illegal drugs. Any questions, Ms. Fernandez, before we conclude?
No, thank you.
Welcome. You are excused. Thank you, ma'am.
For the reporting as a misdemeanor matter, so you're gonna have a different term because anyone and you're gonna get different legal for it. In fact, this is just, yes, you know, I need to those. Yeah, I know. That's all.
Menace.
Good morning, ma'am. Can you state your name, please?
Jessica Jimenez.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Jessica Jimenez.
Okay, thank you. I couldn't hear you the first time. So, all right, so you do have some pending charges before the court, or one charge. It's possession of a narcotic drug, which is a felony. You do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. We're going to talk about the felony offense first, and then we also have a city court matter that we're going to take up next. It appears that the state is recommending, I'm not sure what this acronym means. Can you explain, Mr. Harris?
Judge, the state is moving to dismiss the case without prejudice given the amount of drugs alleged in the interim.
Okay, and then any objection from the defense?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, so on motion of the state without objection, the current charge before the court in this matter is dismissed without prejudice. Let me just. Okay. Do we have any? Okay, never mind. Let me approve. I did to vacate some of these things here in the file, and then we'll go to the city court matter. Okay, so then as the city court matter, Ms. Jimenez, it looks like we have you on a failure to appear for a drug paraphernalia case, and then additionally a newer charge that was picked up. It may be related to the instant offense. Ms. Jimenez, if the court releases you on today's date instead of holding you and it asks that you appear in court, are you going to be able to appear in court?
Yes, I will.
All right, and then do you understand if you did not appear in court, a warrant could issue for your arrest, and then the next judge who hears it could decide to impose bond for your failure to appear?
Yes, sir.
All right, so at this time, the court will order releasing the defendant on her promise to appear. Next court date will be November 6th, 2024, 9:30 a.m. for a pretrial hearing. Conditions of release include that there'll be no consumption or possession of alcoholic beverages or illegal drugs. And any prior release conditions as to the first matter for the failure to appear are affirmed. All right. And so any questions then, Ms. Jimenez, at this time?
No, they're not at all.
Okay, then you are excused. Thank you very much.
Your Honor, I apologize. Was the November 26th one, was that in city court or justice court?
So that was November 6th, actually, 9:30 a.m. And that's at city court.
Thank you.
Sure thing. I have the city court file here too. Okay, yeah.
Of course.
Okay.
You take care. Okay.
Right.
Martinez. Gotta get checked with.
Okay, good morning, ma'am. Can you state your name, please?
Alicia Clarissa Martinez.
Ms. Martinez, you're here today on a single charge of transfer of a narcotic drug under 13-3408. This is a felony offense. You do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. State is recommending that you be released to the third-party supervision of pretrial services. And defense, any objection to that?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, so Ms. Martinez, at this time, what the court's going to do is order that you be released to the supervision of pretrial services. As a condition of your release, however, you need to make sure to do the following: that you do not consume any alcohol or illegal drugs and follow any monitoring and treatment as directed by pretrial services. The court will appoint the Pima County Public Defender's Office to represent you. Your next court date is currently set October 29, 2024, 1:30 p.m. And that's at the Justice Court for a preliminary hearing. However, because you're being released, that hearing date may move. So keep in touch with your public defender to ensure that you have the right court date. Because if you did not appear at future dates, a warrant could issue for your arrest. Do you have any questions, Ms. Martinez? Okay, so at this time, is that a no?
No.
Okay, then at this time you are excused. Thank you very much.
Attorney, that's your last turn today. Okay, make sure you call your attorney to confirm it, right?
Munoz.
Okay, good morning, ma'am. Can you state your name, please?
Amber Victoria Munoz.
Ms. Munoz, we have a couple of matters we're seeing you for today. The first one we'll talk about is a felony offense that's currently being charged for now, and that was possession of narcotic and drug paraphernalia. In general, because this would be a felony offense, you do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have a right to assistance of counsel, and there is an attorney seated next to you to assist you. However, the court is receiving word from the state that they are moving to dismiss this without prejudice. Is that correct, Mr. Harris?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and then the defense, no objection, I presume?
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay, so Ms. Munoz, what's happening is the state is dismissing the felony charge against you without prejudice, so the court's going to grant that request. So that matter will be dismissed. However, we do have a city court case, which I imagine will probably be related to that we're going to talk about in just a moment. So just one moment as I get the paperwork processed. Okay, and so then the next thing we'll go to is the city court matter. For the city court, we have some failures to appear as to a prior assault and criminal trespass. Ms. Munoz, it looks like we've got some of these charges. If the court is to release you on today's date and require that you appear in court, or do you promise to do that?
Yes, sir, I will.
At this time, the court will order releasing you on your promise to appear. Your next court date in this matter is a hearing with Judge Blue, and that will be October 30th, 2024, 2:00 p.m. So October 30th, 2024, 2:00 p.m. at the city court. Do make sure that you appear. Judge Blue did have a warrant issued for your arrest, and the court will, if not previously ordered, the court will order quashing that warrant if any such warrant still exists. If you didn't appear at the next court date, another warrant would issue. The next judge that would see you on that may not be as lenient. So please make sure that you appear at the next hearing on October 30th. Okay, Ms. Munoz?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right then. So the court will further order that prior release conditions are affirmed. Okay, and so at this time, then you are excused, Ms. Munoz. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is just yes, and where it's going to be at. Okay. This is one.
All right. Good morning, sir. Can you state your name, please?
Enrique Saavedra.
Okay, sir, you have a two pending charges. You have aggravated assault as well as possession of a narcotic drug. These are felony offenses. You do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. State is recommending that bond, and you do also have a right to a counsel. And there is counsel seated next to you to assist you on today's date. State is recommending bond be set in the amount of $75,000. Does the state wish to elaborate?
Yes, Judge, the defendant does have a substantial DUI history. By my county of 5 misdemeanor DUI convictions. There were 2 felony level aggravated DUI convictions. He does have an active NBCA flag. And as the court noted from the inner complaint, the offense that he's before the in front of today does involve a DUI related offense where the victim was injured. 7 out of 8 cues on one of the tests and 4 out of 4 cues on another. So given the substantial DUI history of the defendant, the injury to the victim, the state is requesting the bond of $75,000.
Thank you, Mr. Terrace. Then would the defense like to be heard?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Saavedra has had no failures to appear in the last 2 years. Additionally, his last DUI offense was in 2011, 13 years ago, Your Honor, and he did successfully complete a prison term and was paroled successfully and was released in 2019. He's resided in Tucson for 40 years. He's clearly not a flight risk. He's lived on West Brightwater for some time. Department of Transportation reveals that he did have a valid license at the time, and it did list his current address on there. Because of all of these things, the lack of flight risk, especially in this case, we would ask for his bond to be significantly lowered to $2,000, or in the alternative, we would ask that he be released to pretrial services so that he can complete what he needs to while he's out in the community.
Okay, thank you. Well, when I was taking a look at this file, what struck me was that there is a very substantial DUI history for the defendant. I'll go ahead and note for the record, the NCA and FTA scales are 4 and 3 respectively. When I was prepping this, I initially had bond set at much higher than what the state's recommending, because I do believe that the defendant is a danger to the community. I think if the defendant was to be released, then there's going to be prospect for even potentially death to occur. Substantial DUI history. It's for those reasons, the court is going to adopt the state's recommendation, $75,000 bond, cash is secured. Additionally, the release conditions will be: do not drive without a valid license, no alcohol or illegal drugs, monitoring or treatment is directed by pretrial services. Additionally, counsel is appointed the legal defender's office. Next court date for the defendant will be October 21st, 2024 at 1:30 p.m. That is a preliminary hearing at the Justice Court. And then, Mr. Saavedra, any questions at this time?
No, Your Honor.
All right. And then so, sir, you are excused. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Orange.
Good morning, sir. Can you state your name, please?
Yeah, Corey Colby Sargent.
Mr. Sergeant, you're here today on a few matters: dangerous drug possession / use, carrying a weapon, well, essentially as described under 13-3102, and additionally drug paraphernalia. These are felony offenses. You do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. Additionally, you do have the right to counsel, and there is provisional counsel seated next to you. The state is recommending that you be released to the supervision of pretrial services. Does the defense have any objection to that?
No, Your Honor.
So at this time, Mr. Sergeant, the court is going to be ordering that you be released to this third-party supervision of pretrial services. It's critically important So you're being released on today's date, but you have to check in with pretrial services here in Pima County. Your release conditions include no alcohol or illegal drugs, no firearms or weapons, and any monitoring or treatment must occur as directed by pretrial services. The court will appoint the Pima County Public Defender's Office to represent you. Your next court date at which you must appear, Mr. Sergeant, is on October 29, 2024, 1:30 p.m. That's a preliminary hearing. Because you're out of custody, that date may change. So check with your public defender to verify that court date before the 29th, because if you fail to appear at future court dates, a warrant could be issued for your arrest. Do you have any questions?
No, sir.
Okay, with that, then you are, let's see, nothing else. You are excused. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Make sure we call that number here, call the number there, and then there's your guys, right? Okay, sure, best of luck.
If
Okay, good morning, sir. Can you state your name, please?
Orson Smith Moraga.
Mr. Smith Moraga, we've got a couple of matters for you today. The first one is a series of charges stated as follows: narcotic drugs for sale, 2 counts; dangerous drugs for sale, 2 counts; marijuana for sale; possession of drug paraphernalia; possession of a firearm during a narcotic offense. These are all felony matters and charges. You do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have a right to assistance of counsel. There is counsel seated next to you to assist you. State's recommending bond be set in the amount of $10,000. Mr. Terrace, do you want to elaborate?
Your Honor, the state's bond recommendation is based on the amount of drugs. It looks like 29, a little over 29 grams of cocaine, as well as close to $2,000 in cash. The state is also concerned about the presence of a firearm. The drugs.
Thank you. And then defense.
Yes, Your Honor. This is a nonviolent offense through and through. Mr. Smith Moraga is young. He's 19 years old. Additionally, he's had absolutely no priors in misdemeanor or felony land. He is currently also a self-employed landscaper, so he does work out in the community. He's lived in Tucson for the last 4 years. He lives on Broadway Boulevard. And because of all of these things, I know the state's asking for $10,000, but we would argue that he be released either to pretrial services or in the alternative, an $1,100 secured bond.
Okay. Based on what's listed in the probable cause statement, the court will also note that on NCA and FTA scale 4 and 2 respectively, I think the elevated NCA is of concern for the court as well. Given the activity that was described in the probable cause statement, I think that there is a danger to the community to preclude release. Court will order that bond be set in the amount of $10,000 cash or secured, with release to pretrial services if bond is posted. Release conditions include no alcohol or illegal drugs, as well as following monitoring or treatment as directed by pretrial services, no firearms or weapons. Any such firearms or weapons shall be surrendered to law enforcement. Pima County Public Defender's Office is appointed, and then the next court date for Mr. Smith Moraga will be October 21st, 2024, 1:30 p.m. And that's a preliminary hearing at the Justice Court. Sir, any questions at this time? No questions? Okay. All right, then you are excused. Thank you. Well, actually, we got one more matter for you, actually. And that's for some failure to appear offenses over at Justice Court. We've got a couple of misdemeanor matters, failure to appear on some charges. Under the circumstances, it's the court's going to order that you be released on your promise to appear on those matters. However, if you're still in custody, you will be brought over to that hearing date. So the hearing date that you have for the misdemeanor matters, the Justice Court, which is for to clarify failure to appear and also permitting unauthorized minor to drive. Your next court date for that matter is November 8th, 2024 at 8:30 a.m. with Judge Foster for an arraignment. So you've got 2 dates, Mr. Smith Moraga. You've got October 21st and also November 8th, 2024. Failure to appear at those hearings could result in a warrant being issued. And again, if you are still incarcerated at that time, you'll likely be made available for the other hearing on November 8th. After all that being explained, any questions at this time?
No.
No questions? Okay, then you are excused. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Aye.
Okay, good morning, sir. Can you state your name, please?
Jason Ransom.
Mr. Tai, you're here today on a few charges: driving, aggravated driving under the influence, possession of dangerous drugs, and drug paraphernalia. These are felony offenses. You do have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You do have a right to counsel, and there is provisional counsel seated next to you on today's date. The state is recommending that you be released to pretrial services. Is that correct, Mr. Terrace?
That's correct.
All right. And then does the defense have any objection?
No, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Tai, as to the offenses, the court is going to be releasing you from custody, but you're going to be under the supervision of pretrial services, an agency here in town. Make sure that you check in with them upon your release. The court is ordering that you not engage or not possess or use alcohol or illegal drugs, and that you follow our monitoring or treatment recommendations as directed by pretrial services. The court will appoint the Pima County Legal Defender's Office to represent you. Your next court date, Mr. Tai, is October 29, 2024 at 1:30 p.m., and that's at the Justice Court. That hearing may be moved, however, because you are out of custody. So keep in contact with your attorney at the Legal Defender's Office to verify that court date. Failure to appear at future dates could result in a warrant being issued for your arrest. A lot of information to you today. Any questions, sir, at this time? Okay, if there are no questions, then you are excused. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Info, all pretrial services next for that.
Thank you.
Best of luck.
Okay, with that, I think that covers it for today. Thank you, everybody, for your assistance, state defense, and jail.